We're the Good Neighbor Network, FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, audio and video streaming at wgnsradio.com. This is the Roundtable. A look at the news, views, politics, and people that are shaping Rutherford County.
It's a Wednesday here on the Roundtable on WGNS. Glad to have you with us. I'll spit it out here as we get going. Chip Walters from Exit Realty, Bob Lamb & Associates, and the Blue Raider Network. And also welcoming in fellow realtor and fellow Murfreesboroan, Bill Jakes. Kind of worked out well that the mayor was on in the last hour. And, Bill, we will kind of do a little freestyling because your stock in trade and reputation has been of a downtown dweller and somebody who really is kind of a keeper of a lot of the history of downtown.
Well, thanks for having me on. I'm happy to be here. Hard to follow the mayor here. I hope I can keep it as interesting with some fun little stuff to talk about with you today.
Well, we will get to it. One of the things I want to mention right off the bat and send our very best wishes to friend of the show, friend of me, friend of you, your former neighbor, and Melanie Davenport.
Yes.
We saw a lot of Facebook posts over the last few days. Melanie's going through a little health struggle right now, and man, her spirit and friendship and to all has really coming back to her by folks who are showing up and showing out and really standing up for her and trying to help her fight the fight that she's fighting.
Yeah, it's really amazing to see the outpouring of love, but I mean it's not surprising in the least. Melanie, like you say, she's been a friend to so many in this town through her whole career, still is. She interacts with so many people every day and just constantly keeps that positive vibe. And her slogan on her shirts, the God can slogan that she's been pushing.
Who can do it? God can.
That's right. And the other day there was just this huge social media outpouring of everybody posting online with her shirts on, and it's so good to see. And her spirit is just somebody to look up to always. She's got the right attitude. If anybody can beat this thing, she can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll never. She and I were in college together, and I'll tell you a couple of things. Number one, if you've been around this town for a while, Melanie has probably sold you your first cell phone.
Yeah, right.
And either she or Bobby Hopkins out in their store at Sailor Concepts. And also, Melanie may be the best female flag football player I have ever seen. Uh-huh. And she was, she played basketball at Riverdale, and she's a little, a footnote in girls basketball history in that she was on the Riverdale team that was a state runner-up in what was the last 6-on-6 game ever played in Tennessee. And she and Courtney Yates were seniors on that Riverdale team and lost to Warren County in the finals, but they were part of that. But anyway, if you drop by the marketplace, go see, stick your head in, say hello to Mel, and we're doing it here on the radio. So keep fighting the fight.
Yeah, keep those prayers going up for her too. It's something that she and we all believe in the power of it. So keep thinking good thoughts for her, and we're gonna watch her come through this.
Absolutely. I've been wanting to have Bill on for a while, and we've talked about it and traded text messages and things like that. But it's kind of good that we followed the mayor, who was on the action line just a moment ago, and he was talking about, he gets a lot of questions every time he's on about, this, what's going on with this development or that development, and parks and traffic and garbage and, all those things that mayors and council members have to deal with. And one of the things that always comes up is how is progress affecting the historical value of what we have, and I think that I think our council and those who are involved are certainly want to. They're not here to tear down our history and our heritage. They want to enhance it and showcase it.
No, that's so true. I've known quite a few council members over the years, and I try to keep up with all of them, and consistently the council and the mayor. I mean, they absolutely care about the history of this town. The thing that's hard to keep in mind sometimes is the private world. Most of these properties that we're dealing with are private property. They get some say in how they're developed or whatnot. Mm-hmm. But you've got that bundle of rights that we learn about in real estate school.
That's right.
The right to quiet enjoyment. These are things that sometimes the council doesn't have the right to step in and change. If a property owner comes forward and they can meet the local codes, they kind of have the right to do some things with their properties that you can't necessarily shut them down. It's like the old question of why are we letting in so many Walmarts, that reoccurs,
mm-hmm.
every few years. Well, because they bought the property and they met the codes, and you can't really legally stop them if they're doing everything by the book.
Yeah, and there's the continual tug of war of yes, we want and need managed growth as we continue. You certainly want where you live to be a desirable place to be, and then there's you always have the crowd of, well, quit moving here or whatever,
mm-hmm.
and the question that comes up, okay, when do you want us to shut the gate, before or after you got here?
Yeah.
Because most of us came here from somewhere else, whether it was to come here to go to school or whatever it was, but mm-hmm. that's part of the never-ending struggle of a dynamic community.
Yeah, it's a difficult path for sure. I mean, how do you make housing prices go down? You build more houses, so it's tricky. We don't want to see every farm field we grew up with developed, but at the same time, we have no means of stopping people from coming
mm-hmm.
here. So, and it's weird, we go see in real estate, once again, we go see these statisticians speak occasionally, and it's odd to think that technically, by the books, this area has been underbuilding for about the last decade.
Sounds like Edsel Charles to me.
Edsel. Yeah, I go see him every year.
I do too. I just saw him at First Bank last month.
That's so nice of them to put on that event and feed us for free and let us get that information every year. But it's amazing to think. But it really, in a supply and demand kind of aspect, it makes perfect sense that the reason prices are up is demand is high and supply is low, and so how do we combat that stuff? Who knows? We just keep on trying to make friends and help people find houses. It's a little bit bigger than you and I, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. There's no question about that. But that Edsel's discussion, talks about that over. He goes out forecasting within a 10-year period of where houses or where lots need to be developed, and it's interesting. He even goes down to here was a subdivision that was being developed that is in the wrong spot, and that mm-hmm. it's sitting there. It hasn't been developed. But over here in the 37128, we're going to need 1,500 lots that over the next 18 months or whatever that need to be developed. So I'm not sure how he comes up with all of that, but it sure is impressive when he starts putting those slides up on the screen.
Yeah, I guess 30 years of tracking it or whatever, he's just really got it down to a science. But it is so interesting to see when, like you said, he tells you you've built these houses in the wrong areas, because it's so illuminating to the idea that, okay, well, there's some houses sitting over here, and they've just dropped the price on those. Well, why can you say we have this demand? Well, it's just in the wrong place.
What is the first rule of real estate? Location, location, location.
That's right. That's right. Always will be.
Well, speaking of locations, a hot location that is becoming hotter and hotter all the time is the downtown area of Murfreesboro, and you are a downtown dweller and have a home there off of East Main, and you have kind of watched and have been one of the I'll say a mover and a shaker, kind of a keeper of the flame, I guess, of that, and kind of what do you see? And it's not an official specialty, but the downtown area is kind of in your wheelhouse for sure. Yeah. That how do you see the development continuing right now of older homes being refurbished, and is that and balancing that with some tear downs of and rebuilds, that kind of thing, and seeing the development of those areas.
Yeah. Well, I like to think I kind of had a front row seat for the last 21 years.
You have.
I've been on Manny Avenue for 21 years now, and I love that you use the term downtown dwellers. I kind of like to think I coined that term to some degree. It was, believe it or not, 21 years ago. That's right about the time Facebook was taking off.
Well,
and I felt like there was a really good opportunity there to utilize that platform and create a community group like we'd never seen. And so it was a lot of fun for about 10 years. And then, of course, social media evolved to what it is, and it kind of got out of hand. So I stepped away from that. But, the housing industry downtown is still continuing on an arc that I sort of expected. I grew up here. I've seen how the sprawl has happened over the years, and subdivisions have moved outward and outward. And I just kind of knew from traveling in other towns that, hey, if our population keeps going in this direction, it's all going to come back to the center. People eventually get tired of driving, and they want to be in the walkable areas, and they're going to need to get to the mass transit and the restaurants. Of course, it took a while for the restaurants to come. We're definitely seeing that change over the last 6-7 years. Used to be a dozen years ago. They so-called rolled up the carpets on the weekend on the square. It was a ghost town.
Oh, absolutely. And when I think about when I was in school, it was, it was government offices and lawyers' offices.
That's right. That's right.
You had. Maybe you had a dress shop or two and a men's store that really, after noon on Saturday, really wasn't open, and certainly no nightlife down on the square.
That's right. So I credit a lot of this to the restaurants, because they have caused people to want to come to the square and just park and walk around, get a meal, do a little shopping. But what I think we're going to continue to see, and especially with these condo developments and apartments that have been projected, if you can add 300 to 400 more families within a few blocks of the square, that's going to really propel the merchants, restaurants and retail on the square, so that we can get better and better things. The demand for those restaurant spaces will continue to go up. And hopefully some of these developments are going to be mixed use to the point that they will add more shopping, more restaurants, which just adds to the whole destination feel of downtown. So we're definitely on this path. And truly, we're all hit by population density. We don't want to see the roads much more dense than they have to be. But truly, if we're going to add families to our community, the downtown's primed for it, because you literally can, where I live, I can walk to the square on Saturday night and get a meal if I want to. I don't have to get my car involved. That's the beauty of living downtown, is you can park your car and just go do whatever you need to do on foot, which is good for everybody. But I think it's going to continue to go on that path. This Keystone development is still in the works, as far as I know. I don't have any inside track on that. I'm just watching like everybody else and seeing what's in the news. But the Methodist Church property's kind of stalled. But it's going to go somewhere. We've got a city block sitting there.
Yeah. Well, the mayor last hour just said, the council voted a while back to try to make a move to reacquire that property, whether it was through negotiation or condemnation. And right now, he said that the initial thought on it for the nearest part of the future was to get some good parking there to kind of help alleviate some of the pressure that's on the right on the public square. So you're just right off, and that would be helpful. And I think for those who've been around here for a while, they want to make sure that the bell tower and that sanctuary is taken care of, and hopefully that over time will have a real use that can move forward with.
Yeah. I was actually on the Main Street board for about 6 years, and that was something we were pretty heavily involved in. Talks with how that block should move forward, and everybody, Main Street and certainly City Council, City Government as well, wanted to see that preserved. That's just too important of a structure to let that go. So, and the parking sure would be nice to have back in the short term. That was always really good parking there. So that could save us a lot of time, a lot of effort and getting to where we need to go if we had that parking back.
Good deal. Well, Bill Jakes is with us today. If you've got questions or comments for him, you can send us a text message at 615-893-1450. That's 615-893-1450. We're going to take a sip of coffee and be back right after this as you listen to the Roundtable on WGNS.
This holiday season, let's make it magical with First Shot Foundation's Christmas for the Kids. Help bring Christmas joy to Rutherford County kids who need it most. Your support helps provide toys, warm clothing, and a reason to smile. Several local leaders have offered to match funds for the first $10,000 raised, so every dollar you give means $2 for local kids. You can be the reason a child's eyes light up with excitement this Christmas. Go to First Shot Foundation on Facebook to find out how to give. That's First Shot Foundation on Facebook. Life's too short to stress about insurance. That's why Rick Hall at Rayburn Insurance is here to make sure you have the right coverage without all the hassle. He'll work hard to provide you with personalized service and finding the best solutions for you and your family. Whether you're looking for auto, home, or business insurance, Rick Hall's got you covered. Rick Hall at Rayburn Insurance Agency. Let him handle the details so you can focus on what really matters.
Fellas, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low testosterone. Don't wait. Get checked by the experts at Low T Center. They have over a decade of experience helping patients achieve life-changing results with testosterone therapy, or TRT. And for established patients, they offer the convenience of physician-monitored at-home TRT with advanced personalized plans that include both lab testing and self-inject medication. Low T Center makes it easy, shipping directly to your door. Go to lowtcenter.com now to book your appointment online. Low T Center, reinventing men's health care.
As a leader in environmental services, sustainability is deeply integrated into our business model. At Middle Point Landfill, we are environmentalists at heart. We use a cutting-edge technology in combination with our deep experience in recycling and waste services to protect our environment and our neighbors. That's our job, and that's our promise. This is Mike Klassen with Middle Point Landfill. We invite you to learn more about us at middlepointlandfill.com. For public services, we are sustainability in action.
The food's delicious at Adams Place.
Well, I'm afraid the food is too good. I have a problem turning down the desserts.
Alan Butcher at Adams Place.
But the food is wonderful. Danny and all the cooks and the servers back there are just wonderful to us. We have plenty to eat.
Hi, this is Terry Deal at Adams Place. Call me for more information about Adams Place. Phone 615-904-9111.
Adams Place on Memorial, across from Walmart.
This is Good Neighbor Events with Bart Walker. Brought to you by the law offices of John Day and AmeriCare Pest Control.
I've got pets.
Here's Tom Sweat with AmeriCare Services Incorporated.
AmeriCare's moisture control services include mold testing, mold remediation, crawl space repair, vapor barrier, sump pump installation, radon testing, radon mitigation, and basement waterproofing. If there's something wrong in your crawl space or basement, we can probably help. Just ask for a free inspection.
893-7111.
All the best of the best to get rid of your pets.
AmeriCare Services Incorporated.
You've depended on WGNS for local news for 77 years, and we thank you. Don't miss the 10th anniversary for the African American Heritage Society of Rutherford County. It's this Saturday night in MTSU's Student Union Ballroom. The evening includes a dinner theater and a silent auction. The tickets are $65 for adults and $30 for ages 22 and younger. Get in touch with the African American Heritage Society of Rutherford County. Again, that's this Saturday night at 7 o'clock over at MTSU's Student Union Ballroom. A big arts and crafts sale coming up Saturday, November 16th. That's not this weekend, but the one after this, and that's at First United Methodist Church. An arts and crafts fest, plus a bake sale. Again, that's Saturday, November 16th. We also remind you that the Red Cross is critically low on blood. So please give the gift of life to our local Red Cross. Right now, phone them and set up an appointment to give blood at a time that fits your schedule. Phone 800-RED-CROSS. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
Rutherford weather.
Few scattered showers and thunderstorms here this afternoon with cloudy skies, a high in the mid-60s. Tonight, a good chance for rain and storms, cloudy, a low near 52. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Vujicic, Scan News Radio, WGNS. Currently, it's 54.
We're powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. The holiday season starts in downtown Murfreesboro. The annual tree lighting, powered by MTE, is Friday, December 6th, 5 to 8. Caroling Santa and the Sparkling Tree will bring joy to all December 6th, downtown Murfreesboro.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
Welcome into the Roundtable again here on WGNS on this Wednesday. Expecting some rain tonight. We've got Blue Raider basketball tonight. The Evansville Purple Aces are in town to take on the 2-0 Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders. So on the air at 6 o'clock tonight for that. Tip-off at 6:30. Bill Jakes is with us and talking about downtown Murfreesboro today. And we talked about the term downtown dwellers, and you mentioned that you had the Facebook. I heard rumors. I heard rumors that it may be revived, and then I thought, well, the best way to find out is go to the source.
Oh, put me on the spot. Well, I'll be honest. I had a lot of people for a few years say, why don't you bring that back? You should bring that back. I even had a couple of people reach out to me and say, we would buy that spot from you. Because,
oh, really?
Because instead of erasing the group, I just kind of paused it. But I got to be honest, that group really cut into my personal life a lot. The way social media has evolved, it's gotten a little out of hand at times, and quite frankly, I took a little look at the local Murfreesboro page that has gone a little wild. There's like 100,000 people on there now, and it was a great example of why I absolutely don't want to revive that page.
I understand. Okay. All right. So you heard it here first.
I think we're going to leave it alone. And it was a good moment in time.
At its peak, how many followers did Downtown Dwellers have?
We were only ever up to like 11 or 12,000 people. It was intended to be just downtown folks,
right? Just
neighbors. But we don't exclude folks, so we started adding people that just love downtown or businesses downtown, and it got to a point where it's like, okay, you just come on in, folks. But let's just keep the content focused on downtown, and it just got a little wild. There's a lot of characters in the social media world, and again, that was one of those sort of things that just evolved with Facebook, kind of away from our original goal of what we had hoped it would be,
Yeah, and how much? Because I know you were very vigilant about it not getting out of hand.
I tried,
and you were, and I applaud you for that. And it's how much time would it take out of your day to kind of police that thing?
I truly, every day when I woke up, I would put off how long I could go before I had to look at it, and almost every day, because it would go crazy at night. While I was sleeping, there would be people online, kind of, I guess the bigger troublemakers, if you want to call them that, were night owls. So it was almost every morning I would wake up, and it just wasn't a great way to start the day, trying to settle people's fights and, the same old stuff, the politics and the touchy subjects were what everybody was drawn to. It's kind of like putting the National Enquirer by the checkout. Everybody wanted to dive on those certain subjects.
Yeah, what is it? The comedian Ron White, he has a bit about when he got arrested one time. He said, I had the right to remain silent. I just didn't have the ability. And that's the thing. People have the right to not, post every thought that they have on social media. They just don't have the ability to stop themselves sometimes.
Yeah. But hey, even with all that bad, I gotta say we accomplished some amazing things in the early days of it.
What were you most proud of when it came to that, of maybe taking on not in a fight, but taking on a cause or anything like that?
One of the immediate things that comes to mind is we had a couple that lived downtown whose house burned, and they were members of the group. And immediately, like the very next morning, there was aid coming from our neighbors. We ended up staging a little get-together, fundraiser. There was music, and people brought in clothes. People brought in toys for their kids. We raised a bunch of money. It was like just the perfect example of what we really wanted that group to be able to accomplish. And there were a lot of other examples, but that one's right in the front of my mind.
Yeah.
I mean, we also had some other get-togethers and picnics. We talked about local downtown politics and, growth issues. And we were really on a good path there for a while. But,
but it can take it can veer. And John Iacari has been on this program before, and he has some of those other Facebook pages and websites that, he was very smart in getting some of the web, URLs that he got, like Murfreesboro.com, things like that, back a long time ago. But you're right. Like I said, it may have 100,000 followers to it, and it's his full-time job. That's what he does. But you're right. It can certainly go down a path and do it in a heartbeat. And we certainly saw that, in particular over the last year, and hopefully, things have calmed down a little bit.
John does a great job with that. But you're right. It's a full-time job. Yeah. It's a good thing he's got the time to devote to it.
As you mentioned, you live on Manny Avenue, and there's probably not a more historical street in this town than Manny Avenue. And when you and you really take a lot of pride in being there, and how when you go back and you look at what was when Murfreesboro started laying out streets and laying out the downtown area, what were the original streets that we had? I'm going to guess obviously East and West Main. I'm going to guess Maple. I'm going to guess Church.
Although Maple was like Lebanon Pike.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, but it was it's the same street.
And then Manny Avenue, I think, was one of those.
You got Manny. Of course, Manny stopped at Lytle.
Really?
A lot of people might be familiar with that little jog in the street there, right where Manny crosses Lytle going towards Oakland's.
Right by Melanie's old house.
Yes, actually, Melanie lived right there on the corner. The reason for that jog was that was the end of the city limits. And
oh, wow.
And where the road kind of jogs right there, that was where the Manny plantation began. So that was their carriage lane leading all the way up
all the way down through there.
That's right. Every bit of that, from Lytle up to Manny's, the Oaklands, we call it.
Yeah.
That was part of their big plantation.
And how far did that, at its peak, what all did it encase?
It was pretty massive, but one of the things that I think kind of puts it in perspective is Northfield. Northfield Boulevard supposedly was part of the plantation, and it was literally the north field of the plantation. You know, now I can't trace that because Northfield came along.
It's a great story, though.
Way after, you know, but I think that was the roots of how it got its name. Of course, you know, that was cut through there after State Farm came to town, you know, because it used to be, I remember going out Memorial Boulevard and right where Northfield is now was the city limits when I was a kid. And State Farm, you had to go like through the country for a while before you got out to State Farm.
The new State Farm building.
Well, the one out there on DeJarnett. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, because the old one, when I was in college, was right here.
Oh, correct. Yes.
At the corner of Memorial and Broad.
That's right.
Right. So yeah, you're right. I mean, because where Sportscom was and you know, all that right through there, that was farmland.
That was way out. My grandmother lived across the street from the VA, and it felt like
that was in the country.
Yeah, it was. It was way out there.
Now, so if that plantation went out to and past Northfield, I mean, after the Civil War, when did it start, pieces of it start going back to the city to where it started to be developed?
Well, almost immediately.
Right after the Civil War?
Right after the Civil War. The Civil War really, was not good for the Mannies and, and obviously for obvious reasons. But that Manny Avenue actually is considered to be Murfreesboro's first subdivision because they chopped off that land in front that led from, the front of the plantation down to Lytle and created one of the first subdivisions of Murfreesboro. They started chopping that off into lots, and one of the daughters actually built a house out there in front where the Bells live today. They chopped off the cemetery and donated that to the city. Actually, there's little known, but there was another Manny, a brother of the James Manny, who owned where the old hospital property was over to Central. He had that big corner pretty much from Central to MTSU to Highland Avenue and to Greenland. And he moved to Texas right after the war. So the Mannies, the Mannies we're familiar with, I think owned somewhere around 1,500 acres. Hope James Manning's not watching to correct me here.
Yeah.
I'm guessing a little bit from memory. It started off at about 275 acres and it grew. But then the brother had, another 300 or 400 acres there. So they shaped the downtown with their land holdings. It became a lot of what we see as the old neighborhoods that were built up, around the turn of the century and on into the 40s and 50s, like Leaf Avenue and Harrison and all that stretch over there.
Yeah, that's that whole area. That's amazing that Manny Avenue was the first. But when you get those extensions of what you said was Lebanon Highway or Maple and all of those parallel streets that led up to Manny Avenue. About what time were those streets developed?
Oh, they were early on.
Because was that part of the plantation as well? How far?
Well,
how far toward Maple did the Manny plantation go?
Oh, all the way over to Maple.
Okay.
There were a couple of other private residences on what we know as like Spring Street now.
Gotcha.
There was a female academy over there. There were a couple of bigger things, but the main like spokes of the wagon wheel that we know as like say West College. That would have headed into that would have been the Franklin Pike. Maple Street would have been the Lebanon Pike, and the Greenland Drive that would have been like the Sharpsville Pike. And most of these were toll roads. Like as soon as you got a mile or two out of town, you started having to pay to use that road to continue on down. There were toll houses along the way, and that's how they maintained them. These were not government roads; these were privately held property. And you had to pay the folks who owned it and took care of it.
Well, for instance, like what you're saying there, the Sharpsville Pike, which was Greenland Drive, that would have been going through the Manny property. So I'm guessing.
Right between.
So I'm
the
guessing
two
would they have been the owners of that road, or
I'm not sure if they were
there
the toll
people
keepers.
who were? I'm just curious. Were there people who that was their livelihood, that they built private roads and used them as toll roads?
Oh yeah, actually, since you're the sports guy, there was a famous basketball player out in Kittrell community,
Monk Montgomery.
Monk. When I was a young guy getting into history, I used to play with metal detectors a lot, and I happened upon Monk's house because I was looking at an old map, and there was a toll yard right in his front yard. And his family had been involved with that toll house.
And in Kittrell.
Before you get to Kittrell.
Okay.
Actually, just past what is the modern-day Sharpsville Pike on the right.
Gotcha.
Was Monk Montgomery's house. I met him back then.
And Charlie may be listening this morning, but Monk, when I was in college, Murfreesboro did not have, there were blue laws. And there was you couldn't purchase beer on Sundays. Well, I happen to have known a few fraternity guys in my day that might have wanted to have a beverage on Sunday watching NFL games or whatever. Well, Monk Montgomery had a little market out Halls Hill Pike, and rumor has it that you could walk into Monk's Market, grab a paper sack, and put whatever you wanted to purchase, and you might be able to purchase it on any day of the week. So
things like that may have happened.
They may have happened, may not. They could be just a story. Who knows?
Yeah.
We're going to take a time out. Be back to wrap up our hour with Bill Jakes talking downtown Murfreesboro here on the Wednesday Roundtable on WGNS. Efficient 3-bedroom, 3-bath home located in the highly sought-after Black Fox Crossing neighborhood. Enjoy the convenience of 2 primary suites and a 2-car garage. Recent updates include new flooring in the living areas and bedrooms, as well as fresh paint throughout. This home comes fully equipped with appliances, including a washer-dryer and an extra fridge in the garage. For more information, call Chip Walters at Exit Realty Bob Lamb & Associates, 615-542-1915.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
When you're hiring, ZipRecruiter's technology makes finding qualified candidates for your job easy. What if the rest of the world was as easy as ZipRecruiter? Math problems wouldn't be so problematic.
K equals 42.
And summiting Everest would be a walk in the park. In the meantime, if you want to make your hiring easier, use ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
At Bud's Tire Pros, we sell all major brands of tires, and we invite you to stop by today for that next set of tires. Or maybe you need us to check out your vehicle before you head out of town. We offer everything from brakes to batteries, alignments, and more. No appointments necessary, just stop on by.
I'm Allison Mitchell with Bud's Tire Pros. We're located on East Main Street, exactly 3 miles from the town square, 1 mile past Rutherford Boulevard. Visit us online at budstirepros.tn.com.
If you want to get some barbecue, I'll tell you how to do it. Head for the Slick Pig and you're into it. Just walk through the door at 1920 East Main and your nose will send a message right to your brain. Say, smells good, and barbecue. Slick Pig. We got ribs and beans, got spicy wings. Slick Pig.
A Murfreesboro tradition, 1920 East Main.
For 75 years, Murfreesboro Medical Clinic has been a cornerstone of health and compassion in our community. From our humble beginnings to the advanced, comprehensive care we offer today, our commitment to you has never wavered. With 8 locations across Murfreesboro and Middle Tennessee, and over 100 physicians, we continue to provide the highest standard of care. Then, now, and always, your health is our mission.
This is the Roundtable from News Radio WGNS on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at wgnsradio.com.
Bill Jakes joins us today on the Roundtable as we continue to talk about downtown Murfreesboro, some of its history and some of its future as these developments continue to move along. We talked about the One East College project. The Keystone project is really interesting, and while we talked about those areas on the north side of East Main, the Keystone project is mainly on the south side of the square, which is going to be, it will consume this building that we're actually in,
right? And
looking out the back window over here for what's going to happen along Broad Street with the daylighting of Town Creek and all of that. It's really and I know it never happens quite as quickly as we kind of hope or think it might sometimes. But even today we're seeing right out the window activity over there.
Oh yeah, they're digging up part of the creek today, it looks like.
Yeah, what about excites you about that portion of it? I know here along on South Church where we are is going to be a lot of the multifamily type stuff right here, but with what they're going to do along Vine Street over toward Cannonsburg, what excites you about that and what the plans are?
Well, there are a couple of things that I really love about this particular project. One, we've put a lot of emphasis on Medical Center Parkway, and of course East Main was always sort of an unofficial entrance to the downtown. Mm-hmm. But this is going to create another real entrance point from Church Street, and which, we have our own exit down there on the interstate, and you'll be able to lead yourself right straight into Murfreesboro, just a very straight shot right into the downtown area. So I'm excited about getting that extra so-called entrance into the downtown, but probably the one thing I'm most excited about the Keystone project is it's going to bring a footbridge across Broad Street. Mm-hmm. We're going to finally get a connector, other than the tunnel behind Dodge store that goes underground. We're going to get a connector so that you can, take your bicycle, or if you're taking a walk downtown, you can safely get across the street to what will be this new creek area, natural area, which should be able to lead you over to the Discovery Center and all those trails. Of course, the Cannonsburg Village, and who knows what's coming with some of that open land, but it's really going to open us up to a southern corridor of park systems, and that ties you really well to the whole Greenway system that takes you all the way across town. So that footbridge connection, something the city's been talking about for a decade or more, and with it being tied to this project, I think it's really exciting to see that come to fruition.
Well, I heard the mayor, last hour he was talking about that project and the hope. Number one, he said that there was easily less than a 1% chance that the minor league baseball prospects. Well, that's not going to happen. He said that's just not going to happen. No. And but he hopes that they are able to use this opportunity with what's going on with the Keystone project to help reinvigorate this trailhead for the Greenway, because our Greenway system is fantastic.
It's amazing.
And really the one part that has kind of deteriorated a little bit has been the part that is closest to downtown, and that's one thing that it does need some help.
Well, access is the key here. It's cut off. It's you can't cross Broad Street safely on foot or bicycle. It's really, it's not something I'd recommend. I sure don't want my kids trying to cross that section. So, getting us some safe access to that parkland over there is really going to open it up. Not to mention the daylighting of the creek. You're getting rid of a lot of old industrial business buildings. Some of those things have been there for ages. Like I mentioned to you earlier today, the old Long John Silver's building, the old Shoney's that's turned into multiple different businesses. Those,
both old Shoney's over there.
Yeah, that's right. So, opening that up and having a creek, I mean, that's gonna serve the wildlife around here. Hopefully, there's a big initiative in Murfreesboro now to bring back a lot of native plants. They've got staff that are really focused on all these things that are just not only good for the community, but just good for nature in our community. Let's take the big picture into consideration. This is going to help a lot of areas.
When you talk about this area, I think with what they're doing by daylighting the creek, it kind of gets it back to its original route. And I'm still learning the bottoms. That area that was called the bottoms played a very significant role for a long time with different parts of our population back in the day. And do you see this as an opportunity to highlight what the bottoms were and also well, it won't be the same as it was, but it will be a better version.
Yeah. Well, there's been a lot of emphasis on celebrating certain parts of our past as much as can be celebrated. Some of them are kind of sad, but I will say there was a great plaque unveiled a couple of Sundays ago over on South Maple Street. The African American Heritage Society unveiled a plaque on the Lowry's home place over there that commemorated the Mink Slide business district, and that led into the Bottoms area.
Okay, give me some perspective. Where was the Mink Slide business district?
The Mink Slide, that's South Maple, so that's going to be right about where Pastimes is, going down towards Maple Street Medical Clinic,
Gotcha.
Kind of leading into that area where the City Hall is now.
Gotcha.
And then, of course, down Vine going towards Cannonsburg. That was all Bottoms area. Now, the Cannonsburg area was kind of, industry, mills, wooden mills, cedar bucket factory, things like that. And then there were a lot of housing that were, be sensitive with my terminology, maybe underprivileged sort of housing. These houses were not very nice, And sadly, when Broad Street came through about 1950, they just kind of wiped out a lot of that area. And all levels of housing serve the community. We can't just have one type of housing. So that displaced a lot of folks. And a lot of folks who were pretty important to the community, especially the black community. So anyway, it's nice to see that they have commemorated the Mink Slide Business District. Our councilwoman, Madeline Scales, her family owned a big strip of that, actually. That's where their funeral home was before they moved over there in the area they're at today. But hopefully with the Bottoms area redeveloping, maybe we can commemorate and celebrate some more of that history. And I know the African American Heritage Society is really getting some momentum and doing some great things around the downtown area and putting these plaques up in a hope that we never forget our past. We got to know where we've come from,
to know where you're going.
That's right.
It's certainly true, and we'll always continue to watch that. One of the things you mentioned earlier about the vitality of the downtown area, in particular around the square, how some of the restaurants have come in, things like that. Now I think about where Puckett's is now. There were several tries there. There was the Jonathan's, there was the Blue Rooster, there were a couple of other things, and finally, in a real salute to those people who tried to get it going. Just didn't work at the time, but then the timing came right, and here within the last week we've been able to celebrate 10 years of the Alley on Main.
That's right.
With Sean and Christy Hackinson. They really brought their dream in. What Jeff and Scarlett Murphy have built there. Domenico's.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's a great spot, and all the others with what is, you know, the Triple B, and along with Whiskey Dicks and Puckett's and all of that, and Fire. I'm missing a ton because the Fire has just opened, the new Korean barbecue place, and Joanne's and all that kind of stuff. It's just the Square has become a vital place. It's not a 8-hour a day anymore, but it's not 24 hours a day, but it's about an 18 to 20 hour a day place. You can come and find something going on.
Absolutely. I will say probably some of that nightlife that we're seeing really got established before the restaurants took hold, but all those restaurants that you mentioned have really springboarded each other. They've kind of worked, they've helped each other. Instead of it being competitive, the fact that you don't have to choose where you're going to eat before you come to the Square.
Let's go downtown, see.
Just go walk and figure it out as you go, because you've got good options. And Sean and Christy celebrating their 10 years is just fantastic. That location they're in, much like the Puckett's, that had rotated a lot of different restaurants.
Oh, there'd been a barbecue place. There'd been another sandwich place, things like that.
Yeah, you had the Mitchell tried a pizza place there for a little while, and that was a fantastic restaurant. It was great, but the town just wasn't ready for the Square to really be that kind of place yet.
Well, 5 on Black, they got a shout out on CBS Sports Network last weekend during the MTSU Liberty game, because the broadcast team for CBS had gotten a recommendation from somebody of where to go have dinner on Friday night, so they went to 5 on Black. But hey, don't forget about Marina's, because man, they have been a stalwart around the Square for many years.
I worked at Marina's for the original owner.
Did you really?
I was one of my early jobs in the early '90s there. I was kitchen staff in that place.
Was Don's Kitchen Corner still open down there? Do you ever remember it being open?
I don't remember Don's, but my family does.
Right.
And even the Busy Bee that I think was in that location. My grandmother had worked in that spot for a little while when she was young. So we all paid our dues on the Square at one point.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, just a lot of good memories there.
Yeah.
All right, we've got a couple minutes left, and here we are getting ready for 2025 coming around. Yeah. You and I both work in real estate, and we have seen the good, we've seen the slow times here in the last 18 months to 2 years. All indications are that now the Fed has lowered rates a couple of times, down 0.75 of a point after pushing it up for a while. There's a lot of pent-up frustration, pent-up buying power. People who have held off on selling, and those who are looking to buy have held off. There's a lot of indication that 2025 could be very busy. Is that what are you seeing?
Wow. That's kind of the $1 million question here. There's so many variables. I agree with you with the pent-up demand, but we're still facing increased pricing because of the lack of land. Demand is high for any developable land. National debt's pretty high. I'm questionable about whether or not interest rates are really going to fall much. I think we're gonna be lucky to stay in the 6s. If we see 5s, we better count our blessings.
Well, and the thing is, for people who are saying, well, I'm going to wait for the interest rates to come down. If the interest rates if they get in the 5s, then there's going to be so much demand for buying, then the prices are going to go up.
That's right. It's never good to wait.
Yeah,
do it as soon as you can do it.
And what is it? Buy the house, or was it marry the house, date the loan? Is that what it is?
Date the rate.
Date the rate.
That's right.
And marry, and then because you always have an opportunity. All of the lenders right now have programs to where, they are almost offering free refinancing when the rate goes down to where it makes a smart move to
Title companies are doing the same thing. Yeah. If you get a better rate in the next couple of years, come on in. We'll refi. We'll close you for free.
Oh wow!
We will see some federal help, I'm sure. There's some pretty cool programs out there that I'm hoping get some traction. One is the government may pass a deal where you don't pay people who own residential rental properties can sell to first-time home buyers without paying a capital gains tax on that sale. That would really allow a lot of folks who are older who have retained rental properties to dump them back into the market. And specifically help first-time home buyers.
That one's really interesting.
Without having to pay that penalty on their gain. It's fabulous. I hope that gets some more traction because
is that out there now?
National Association of Realtors has been pushing that one, and it's bipartisan, getting support on both sides. So little things like that, thinking outside the box, could really help a lot of the problems we're facing, because let's face it, there's too many houses that are held as private rentals. We need those things to get back onto the market so that first-time home buyers have a chance to get into the home buying process.
Well, and the number of homes that are rentals that are owned by the giant rental companies too.
Sure.
That's a whole.
That's
a whole different animal.
They're hurting our community. I hate to say it. I believe in the right to own a rental property, but I don't love Wall Street owning rental properties.
Yeah. So that's all coming up. But for your business, tell folks how they can find you and your crew. You've got. I say this. You've got I say it's kind of a boutique.
I like
business.
That term. Yes, sir. I
between you and Beth and Gabriel.
Yep, and got an agent out of Nashville, Stephen, and Jason Gully's just joined on with us. We are Bill Jakes Realty. We're located right downtown at 305 North Highland. And I started with Bob Lamb and Exit
You
Realty.
did.
Yeah,
When I got in it, you were. I came in the door and you said, I'm out of here now. So
Not enough room for both of them.
You were there for a few months, but and you were I've always enjoyed being able to pick your brain about. You've always been so open and helpful to younger realtors who got into the business. But
thank you, Chip.
And I appreciate you coming by today. And we'll do this again and kind of get into get into the weeds a little bit about some specific areas around downtown and some of the history, and we'll have a lot of fun with that. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chip.
All right,
had a
Bill,
good time.
Yeah, Bill Jakes has been our guest today. Brian Barrett is coming up next, and keep it here. Don't forget, RutherfordWeather.com will give you a lot of information later on, because we do expect some weather to be moving in this afternoon and this evening. So for Bill Jakes, Chip Walter saying thanks for being with us. You can catch any of this on the podcast section of wgnsradio.com. We'll talk to you again real soon.
WGNS